Hello, my name is Daniel Yuck. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate you, your time, and your support. In today's video, I want to share with you a method that we can use to apply stencils to human skin and literally not have them wipe away during our tattooing process. Now, don't get me wrong, we can always wipe away a stencil, but the method I'm going to share with you is really going to be tried and true. I'm going to go ahead and share with you from beginning to end and elaborate as much as I can along the way, so by the end of this video, you can click away knowing exactly how to go about doing this. Should you have any questions at all, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. Rest assured, I'm going to do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell for me, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do also have social medias under the same name as my YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, all under Daniel Yuck. I would appreciate the support over there as well. With that being said, let's get right on into this. This part's important. This is my secret weapon right here. The stencil applicant that I use is called Stencil Prep. This is the applicant that I've had the most success with in terms of not losing my stencil throughout the tattooing process. This really does work, and it is tried and true. The stencils are really difficult to wipe away. That is not by any means an exaggeration. I'm actually going to share with you that here in this video, so be sure to stick around for that. To demonstrate this process here, I am going to be using this bottle of Stencil Prep, some Scotch shop wipes, and I'm also going to be using Spirit stencil paper. However, I'm sure the same rule of thumb would apply for inkjet printers as well. This process is straightforward as mentioned. I'm going to saturate the tattoo site with the Stencil Prep, and I'm simply going to work it into the tattoo site and the surrounding areas, ensuring that I get the tattoo site in all of these surrounding areas. You're going to see as it creates this sort of white lather, that's actually a really good sign. I'm simply going to wipe it all the way with the Scotch shop wipe, and then I'm essentially going to repeat this process again. I want to apply another layer, make sure that I'm going to get the tattoo site and the surrounding areas, and this time I'm going to work it into the skin until I've achieved that sort of lathered look. Once I've gotten to this part, I like to wipe away a little bit of the excess here, as I don't want to experience stencil blurring. So I'll kind of wipe away until I've got to a tacky sort of state. And once I get to that tacky sort of state, I will begin to apply the tattoo stencil. From here, I'm just simply going to line the design up and place it down. It's really important to make sure that we have that tacky feel before we place our design down to minimize stencil blurring. I'm also not going to smear it or move it around to minimize stencil smearing. You can see I'm just softly pressing down. Once I feel like I've transferred the entire design, I'm going to remove the stencil paper, and these are the results that I'm left with. Now that the stencil is freshly applied, from here I want to wait about 20 minutes for it to dry and really stain into the skin. That's the idea with the Stencil Prep approach. We are essentially staining the skin with the carbon, therefore we're going to be left with a stain of the design. I'm actually going to share with you that here in this video. Now that this bee has been drying for about 20 to 30 minutes, somewhere within that time frame, I want to do some wipe tests with you all, and I want to see how many wipes it takes to remove this stencil. I'm just going to do a little test touches here to see if we experience any smudging at all, and you can see after a few wipes, nothing. So let's go ahead and begin this test right here. Here's the Scotch shop wipe. That's wipe 1. Let's do some more dry wipes here. This is the second, third, fourth. As you can see, we are experiencing a little bit of smearing right there, but nothing that really concerns me at all. 5, 6, 7, and you can see I'm putting pressure down. 8, 9, that's 10, and I'm really putting a good amount of pressure, and I don't want to cause skin irritation, so I'm not going to press down into the skin, but I am going to apply some pressure in attempts to remove it. Let's go ahead and make this more interesting. Let's go ahead and even the playing field here and make this a little bit more practical. I'm going to be using this Inkeeze right here and applying the ointment to the design as I normally would as if I was tattooing. I'm going to apply ointment and I'm going to work it into the skin, and I'm going to wipe away. So that's another wipe. That would be 11 wipes. That's 12. And I'm just going to kind of repeat this process. That's 13. That's 14. I could keep doing this all day, but I'm going to put the count up on screen so that way we can see how many times I've wiped before we get somewhere with this progress. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more ointment. Typically, I wouldn't be this aggressive if I were actually tattooing this design. I would be a little bit more gentle and soft with the ointment, kind of do a lot more dabbing as opposed to smearing as you see me doing here in this video. So that right there is a clear indication that this stencil is definitely holding up. By now, most applicants that I have tried would have already started started fading, and if not, I would have lost detail within the wings, within the head area. A lot of the detail right there within the middle part of the bee would have been lost as well. And you can see we're probably about 20 wipes or so in here, and we still haven't yet to lose any sight of the bee. I'm gonna put a lot more ointment, and typically I also wouldn't use this much ointment if I were tattooing. You can see I'm really working it in right here, and I'm wiping. You can see the skin drag as I wipe, so therefore you know that I'm not pressing down softly. I'm doing my best to remove this bee without causing any skin irritation or hurting the client here. We're going to keep going, same process all the way through. So more Inkeeze pink ointment on there, working it in, and I will also gradually, as this demonstration goes on, work it in more and get a little bit more vigorous with the ointment. I'll show you here in a moment what I mean, but you can see we're still wiping away and it is yet to budge. It is fainted just a little bit. I mean, it's gotten a little bit lighter, but nothing truly noticeable. As you see, even on the Scotch Shop wipe, there's not really much at all going on there, which is surprising. So right now this stencil is not budging, it's holding up, and I'm going to keep going. I'm stretching the skin here just to kind of get it in there, mimicking the same tattoo process, and you can see that it's still holding up. And again, this is going to be the demonstration. I'm kind of going to repeat this over and over and over. I'm really curious as to how many wipes I can get by the end of this video before I get any sort of signal or sign that this stencil is going to start fading. I'm going to use a little bit more Inkeeze pink ointment, and I'm going to work it into the skin as you see me doing, in efforts to loosen the stencil up so that way I can take it off the skin. And you can see that that is not working either. This little bee is not budging, which is actually a good thing. This is what I want. So therefore, when I have like detailed designs such as maybe mandalas or bigger designs that have a lot of like textures and areas that I cannot afford to lose, then this is really going to come in handy. For me personally, I would rather have the stencil and not need it than to need it and not have it, if that makes some sort of sense. Now, this is a good thing, so I can't take it off doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. This is what I want for my tattoo stencils. When I apply the lines over the purple here, I'm able to see the lines. I'm still able to work with the designs. It does take a little bit of getting used to having such a saturated design throughout the entire process. However, it is something that we can work into and get used to. Me personally, I love Stencil Prep, although I am still also getting used to it. I'm a big fan of it. You can see right here, I'm going to mimic the tattoo process, and I'm actually going to apply a very generous amount of ointment in efforts again to remove this design, and you're going to see that it's still not going to budge. I know by now with most stencil applicants that I've used, when I vigorously rub ointment into the stencil like this, it lightens up, and it lightens up really quickly. It doesn't really take me 50, 30, 20 wipes to get a sort of lighter tone from that stencil. I've experienced times where I lose stencils maybe within my 20th wipe or so, which is why I'm so used to dabbing. You can see even kind of just dry wiping right here and trying to remove the stencil like this, nothing's happening. I'm being very mindful as I don't want to irritate the skin or cause redness, but you can see even with some ointment, I'm actually pressing a little bit harder, working it into the design, and it's still not budging. Again, this is what I want from my designs. I would much rather have it like this than the previous way where I had to be real meticulous and careful with every single step that I made. This provides me, or this right here, Stencil Prep, provides me with a bit more freedom. You can see now I've put a generous layer of ointment. I'm going to really also take my time to work it into the design as much as I can, and this right here is a tried and true, I guess, test to show me that this stencil is going to hold up for the entire process. Keep in mind, let's say if I'm tattooing, I'm not going to be using alcohol. I have yet to use any green soap or distilled water. All I have used is ointment, which is pretty much identical to my tattooing workflow. I would still be applying the tattoo right now, so therefore I'm only using tattoo ink and ointment as you see me doing here. So that kind of is a good demonstration, I feel, and that's going to translate over well to a real world application. I've also used Stencil Prep a couple of times and I've had the exact same results. With ink, it didn't make a difference. I used Formula 23 from Intense, which is a more runnier, looser ink. I didn't have any issues of my stencil wiping away early. I'm sure by now we may have figured out that once we place the design down, we have to make sure that that is where we want it to be placed. If we needed to remove the design to replace it down, we have to do that early on, preferably within the first maybe 3 to 5 minutes of placing down the design. Once you start leaving it there for, let's say, 10, 20, 30 minutes, then it's going to be really hard to remove. So if you need to remove the design, once again, just to confirm, you want to do that within the first 3 to 5 minutes of placing it down when using Stencil Prep. Let's say this design is still too dark for you after all the wiping. What you can use is alcohol. Here is 70% alcohol. I'm just going to throw some on this design, and you're going to notice, although it doesn't completely remove the design, it does make it lighter. So for some, it may be more easier and manageable to work with the design at this sort of tint right here, as opposed to the full saturation. This saturation may be more preferable for some artists, which I don't blame. And a way to achieve this sort of saturation would be to apply a weaker alcohol, as you saw me do, and then just simply wipe it away. And I would do that after it's dried for about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, let's say you just placed the design down and it's crooked, it didn't come out to your liking, then you would just simply put alcohol over the entire area, take it off. You can go ahead and put some ointment on there as well to loosen a little bit more, and it should come right off and you can begin the process over. So that's how you would go about that. But just be sure, once again, just to confirm and reiterate, if you want to replace a design down, you want to be quick and thorough with taking it off, and you want to do that within the first 3 to 5 minutes. So you can see, even after adding alcohol, I'm still putting ointment. The bee is still there. I can completely 110% work with this design and make it all the way through from here, even with all of the wiping. Here is another round of alcohol, and you can see it is loosening the design a little bit more, as we can see it turning purple there. Working the alcohol into the skin in efforts to lift it a bit more to lighten the design, in which it does. So I am now successful at lightening up the design, but because I'm now using alcohol, if I were using ointment, I'd be here all day with you all. So that is one way that I go about lifting the carbon from the stencil, is with alcohol. So you kind of want to use that as at your discretion. If you don't need alcohol or any liquids, I would leave distilled water out during the tattoo process. I would leave green soap out as well during the tattoo process, and I would also leave alcohol out during the tattoo process, maybe even witch hazel. Anything that would loosen the carbon earlier on, then you may want to leave out until you need to bring it in. I feel like this is a great place to conclude this video right here. That is how I go about getting tattoo stencils to stay on human skin. Should you have any questions at all, I encourage you to please drop a comment down below. Rest assured, I'm going to do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell for me for more videos like this. I also do have social medias under the same name as my YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, all under Daniel Yuck. I would appreciate the support over there as well. With that being said, I truly appreciate your time and I thank you for your support. You have a great day.